Hey guys, welcome back to Semper Mechanic. My name's Thomas. In today's video, we're going to be talking about the top 5 deadliest car defects in history. So if that's something that interests you, stay tuned, because we're starting right now. Hey guys, how you doing? You feeling strong physically? You feeling strong mentally? That's good to hear. Well, let's go ahead and just get started with this, because today we're going to be talking about the top 5 deadliest defects in car history. And these ones are really, really bad. But think about this. When you're driving a car, you know there's risk involved. I could wreck my car today and die. Somebody could hit me in their car and kill me today. And we accept them risk when we drive our vehicle. It's something that we know and we accept. But what we don't know and we can't accept, that some of these vehicles are ticking time bombs straight from the manufacturer. I'm telling you, recalls are a lot more common than you think. And some of these recalls cost millions and millions of dollars to fix. Sometimes it's easier to pay the families a few $100,000 when somebody dies than to recall 10 million vehicles and cost them hundreds of millions. Paying for a life is cheaper than paying for all the vehicles to get fixed. And with that being said, let's go ahead and start this list. The number 1 defect we're going to be talking about is something called unintended acceleration. People was driving and the gas pedal was getting stuck and they couldn't get it unstuck, and it cost a lot of people their lives. Finally, after a decade, after 6,200 people complaining, Toyota finally recalled 5 million vehicles. And what they said what the problem was the floor mats. So they changed out the floor mats. Well, guess what? It still happened. Another 1.8 million vehicles recalled. And then they said it was just the sticking gas pedal. So they changed them 2 things out. So now they got 2 recalls, and guess what? People were still dying. The gas pedal was still being stuck. So now listen to this. After all said and done, over 9 million vehicles was recalled before they finally fixed the problem. And the reason they said was user error, sticky gas pedals, and floor mats. That's what they came up with. But any mechanic or anyone with just a little bit of knowledge with the case knows that it was a faulty electronic throttle control. And because they wouldn't fix that electronic throttle control and they kept blaming user error, it ended up costing 89 people their lives. And then they was finally sued for $16 million because of the false claim of what they was saying about the gas pedal and the floor mats being bad. I feel sorry for the 89 people that lost their life and the hundreds of people that was injured. All because Toyota, for over a decade, ignored all them complaints. Alright, so our next deadly defect that we're going to be talking about is the infamous Firestone tires. I remember hearing about this when I was in high school or junior high. I mean, everybody talked about it then. But the problem is Firestone people, they knew they had bad tires, but they still put them out anyway, and Ford still put them on the road. But the fact remains, 271 people died and over 700 people were injured. When you put a top-heavy Ford Explorer out on the road, them tires that was known from the manufacturer to have issues, you put that together, well, now you're driving down the highway at 70 miles an hour, you have a catastrophic blowout of your tire, and it flips the top-heavy Ford Explorer, and it kills everybody in the vehicle. And that happened over and over again. Over 3,500 customers complained of having these blowouts and having this excessive tread wear. Well, it all came back to Illinois. I think it was the Decatur plant in Illinois that manufactured these tires. Before they even sent them out, they knew there was a defective problem, but they still sent them out. That's why there were so many lawsuits that was happening. They're both guilty as hell, man. So there's 271 deaths on both of their heads. But the only good thing that happened out of this is that Bill Clinton passed the law in 2001, making recalls a lot more stricter. And now here we are on our 3rd deadly defect. And the defect on this one killed over 300 people. And what it was a faulty ignition switch. So now imagine you're driving this GM vehicle. You're driving 60 miles an hour in this exact vehicle. Next thing you know, the vehicle shuts off right now. You have no power steering. You have no brakes. There is nothing you can do. Your airbags are cut off. Next thing you know, you cannot stop. There's vehicles in front of you. You get up, look, nothing you can do. You can't stop, boom. So in all, GM had to recall 3 million vehicles and they was fined $35 million. And then they fired a whopping, listen to this number. You know how many people they fired over this? 15. That's it. 15 people was fired. I mean, they cleaned house, I tell you what. There's only hundreds of thousands of employees. But the worst thing about this is Only 75% of the vehicles have been fixed. So we still have cars on the road right now driving with that faulty ignition switch. All right, we're up to number 4 on our countdown. Now this next deadly defect, this was gas tank explosions, and it killed over 400 people. But what happened was in 2005, company Fiat, they didn't want anybody to know that they was redesigning a few SUVs. The SUVs was a Jeep Liberty and the Grand Cherokee. And why they was redesigning them? Because them 2 vehicles had double the deaths of any other SUVs. And the problem was the gas tank was not properly protected. So when accidents happened, even something small as a fender bender, if it got hit in the ass end, gas tanks would explode and kill people. I mean, they killed over 400 people. And Fiat did not want to admit to this. Not at all. So they was trying to do this redesign and get this fixed. What brought some light to it is a 4-year-old died. He got caught in the vehicle and he burnt to death. I think his name was Remington. I could be wrong about that. But it was highly publicized at the time. Having a 4-year-old child burned to death in one of your vehicles when the wreck wasn't even that bad. If you would have had protection around the gas tank like every other manufacturer, this would have never happened. Well, by the time they recalled some vehicles and got them in, you know what their fix was? Somehow they got approved to fix this by putting a hitch on the back of the vehicles. So you know what happened then? Well, when they got in high-speed crashes, now that hitch was going all the way through the vehicle, cutting the vehicle in half if you got hit in the ass end. So after they realized the hitch was a disaster, they recalled 55% of the vehicles. Only 55% of the vehicles that had this problem. So they didn't even recall all of them. And what happens next is the slowest rate of fixing a recall by any company ever. Only 4% of the Grand Cherokees have been fixed. Only 27% of the Jeep Liberties have been fixed. Right now, them death traps are still rolling around right now. So for that, Fiat, complete assholes. Now this is our 5th and final one. And I saved this one for last because it's the worst. I don't know how many people has made it to this point of the video, but actually I probably should have put this one first so everybody would hear it. But what it is the bucking Bronco. This was the Bronco 2 made by Ford. And you know how many people the Bronco killed? It's the #1 killer. Think about that. It's the #1 of all time. It has over 800 deaths. Over 17,000 people was injured between 1984 and 1996 when they quit making the vehicle. You know what the response from Ford was? It's a privilege to ride in the first small SUV. That was their response to all this stuff. You know how many recalls was done for the deadliest defect in the history? You know how many recalls there was? There was 0. 0 recalls for this. The only way this vehicle quit killing people is they quit making it. But you'll still see it bobbling down the road once in a while here. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed that video. I just thought I should bring it up because a lot of people forget how deadly these vehicles are. So make sure you check your VIN number. You can go ahead and take your VIN number right here on all vehicles. Take this number and go to Google GM recalls, and there'll be a spot where you can put your VIN number and it'll tell you what recalls are done or if one needs to be done on your vehicle. Take it 30 seconds and you'll find out. So go ahead and do that. But if you like the video, guys, give me a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed, please do so. It is free. It doesn't cost you any money to subscribe to this channel. We're almost to 3,000 and that's a big milestone. So please, guys, please subscribe. The button's like right here and it's free. Just click it. That's all you got to do. Also, if you guys would like to support the channel, I have my Cash App and Venmo on the screen. You guys can send any donations there. The donations go back to my mobile mechanic work truck. But if you don't, I still love you. And like I always say, Semper Fi till next time.